Hey kids, it's Catherine, your Indigenous card reader from South Central Ontario, here with Brian at Moonstarlodge, and we have a reading for the week of March 10th to 16th. Now, in this week, by the way, welcome if you're new and welcome back if you've been here before. We've been doing this at Moonstarlodge for over 4 decades, and we specialize in Indigenous spirituality, arts, and education. So, we're looking at the 10th to the 16th of March, as I mentioned, and in this week we have the full moon of Weighs the Truth, the grandmother of the third moon cycle. It also happens to be the first eclipse in the eclipse season of the spring, and it happens, it's a total lunar eclipse, and so it's going to be visible to us. This is just before, a week before spring equinox, so there's a lot of energy with this moon as it is building, but it's happening midweek, basically, of this reading. Anyway, that being said, it's an opportunity to prepare rituals and a lot of idea of what you want to transmute from the solitary time that we had in the winter, where we are kind of cocooning into the explosion that spring needs to be. Last week's reading was a doozy, and the cards I'm using this week are the same decks. So if you want to have a review of the decks I'm using, just watch last week's video, and I always post pictures on various social media. And I had mentioned last week that it was a very unusual reading because I had multiple kings and queens and such that I'd never had in a spread like that before. I am humbled to say this one is almost, if not just as wackadoo in terms of the layout. I am shocked by this. So this is another photo that when we take the photos to post on social media, I'm going to keep a copy of this in my personal file to put in my grimoire. And hopefully by this week, we have to film these ahead of time, we'll have had the rituals class actually advertised. So hopefully we'll be able to get some students who want to participate and learn more about the kinds of rituals you can do when we have situations like a full moon with a total lunar eclipse. What is a useful ritual? Anyway, all that being said, Brian, let's go to the cards. So here are the 7 tarot cards and their clarifiers. I'm using a couple different decks this week, adding into the mix. They're all, listed, but I'm utilizing them differently. Our significator card is the Empress. The Empress is the self-care, the good, the bountiful, telling us that we need to see ourselves as bountiful. We need to recognize the beauty and the wonderful things we do have in our lives. And in this particular deck, she has the grace of all these gorgeous flowers, but she's also a big one for self-care. She looks after her community with the Emperor, but she's teaching about self-care and not about law and order and infrastructure like the Emperor does. She's clarified here by the Gardener card. And this gardener tends well this beautiful garden, but is on the, shall we say, on the path of being careful of the pests which come into our soul garden. This is representing a soul garden. So the pests would be shame, denial to self, shadow, no or low boundaries so that people that shouldn't do actually impact us. So this gardener is very careful about protecting and nurturing her soul garden. And that's a lot of the same message here, that the self-care message part of the Empress card. So that's how we're starting the week. We get into the Hermit here, this beautiful mermaid sitting up on a post here, a lighthouse, I guess. And oh yes, there's ships on the sea and some seabirds. The Hermit needs to look for wisdom within the self. So protecting the self is important, protecting our own soul. We can only get good knowledge and wisdom from a soul devoid of pests. It's asking us to connect, taking time to connect with spirit and to sit above the emotions that might cause turmoil. It's clarified by confidence. Confidence includes pride, poise, and awareness, and self-assurance. This is the same attributes as the King of Wands here in the female form, who showed up in last week's reading. So we need to have confidence in our skills here in all these regards. The High Priestess is next, the one sitting, being able to draw, excuse me, the incredible knowledge of spirit and blending it with the knowledge of our earth walk, the manifester of things. Manifestation is huge. Oh, as I say that, I just see this card, manifestation. So, God, you just can't make this stuff up. Yeah, what more can I say? This is absolutely the time when we're bringing things to life. And we need to do it from a place of confidence and poise and letting none of the negatives into our realm, and knowing that the universe supports us with all that we need. The Death card makes an appearance again this week. It's about letting go of an old way of life and allowing transformation to happen. Yes, it can mean physical death, and I get this question fairly regularly. But this is a collective reading, so we're taking this to the higher spiritual realm of the end of something. It's a way of life. It's the end of winter. By the time we're getting to this point in March, the ice huts are off the water. The ice is collapsed back into the water. You know, it's the end of a season. It's the end of shutting ourselves off. It's the end of cocooning. Death is clarified by, let me see what this says, oneness is the way. How could you show more compassion and acceptance toward those you don't understand? Well, that's, I guess, what the death is. How we're letting go of choosing not to understand or be accepting. We need to accept all in this higher space. Keeps the vibration high. Now we've got the female King of Swords in this particular deck, which I have loved since the day I got it. It's the Tarot of Mystical Moments. The female king is about bringing in the light and using less of a sword as in cutting things heads off and more about weaving this string of lights through everything. It's mental power, mental clarity, mental maturity. It's about seeing the bigger picture at all levels. Doesn't matter if the sky is cloudy or dark or full of stars. It's weaving the stars and the enlightenment that is absolutely necessary. The clarity here is incredible with this card. And I had to stop, this is a new deck to me, I had to stop and read what this card represents because it's called the King of Winter. And the card represents cedar. This is a lot of botanical information in this week. And so when I looked up the King of Winter and cedar, which is one of our most sacred medicines and secular ritual plants, it's the King of Swords. So we've got it twice. The King of Swords clarifying the King of Swords. This is what makes these 2 weeks that we've had these readings so very magical. So the clarity and the nurturing of mind and the new beginning that cedar represents. This is a cone there. We've got the star, hopes, dreams, potential illusions if we get down the wrong garden path, but it's about healing and change. In this particular deck, it is, about healing and staying focused. It's clarified by the card for stability, and this is the oak tree. Knowing that the ancientness of an oak tree and the power of an oak tree to provide intergenerational support is the same as the star. The star represents ancestors and intergenerational support for our movement out of one way of thinking from the winter, knowing that we're on a new journey, leaving things behind and moving forward. They're both looking to the right. And the King of Wands in the female form is here again this week. The majestic, can't miss that face walking into a room. There's beauty, there's passion, there's the fire in the belly. There is no holding us back. So she's made another appearance, and that's really, really special to me. It's a very powerful card. I've always, not just in this deck, this is a powerful image, but the Queen and the King of Wands are very potent. It's the lust for life. It's the going after what we want and not letting anyone or anything hold us back. It's clarified here by the card of sea turtle. And sea turtle represents patience. It says patience is key. You will endure through this process. You can flip the camera, Brian. I am, as the British say, gobsmacked with the readings for the last 2 weeks. I just, again, I will keep this photo, as I've said, and sit with it. So we thank you for seeing the power that's present to us on this lunar eclipse full moon week, and knowing that Ways the Truth is in the background, keeping us grounded and aware of being careful and focused on how we move forward into the spring, because spring equinox is next week. Anyway, Brian and I thank you for your support and your kindness, your thumbs up, your well wishes, your joining the channel, subscribing, and the support you send through PayPal and e-transfers and dropping off muffins and sending coffee and all those good things. So, have a good one.